to administrative tutorial functions, advanced administrative functions. So that means I'm assuming you've already reviewed the basic admin video, training video, and now you're ready for some advanced administrative functions. For this video, I'm going to talk about how to add a new road condition segment, also how to make changes, cosmetic changes to issue types, such as changing the color or line patterns. I'm going to teach you how to add new contacts and add them to contact groups. And finally, how to adjust notification templates. I say I'm going to do that, but in actuality, we've got Eric over here, our trainer, so he's going to be running through this for you. So, all right, let's see what you got for us, Eric.
All right, so what are we starting off with here, Yates? Contacts?
We're doing new road condition segments. So that means, for example, I have a new roadway. It's been entered into the GIS system, but I want to put a new roadway condition for segments. And again, these are pre-populated segments that the operators are only going to be able to change from open to closed to caution. They're not going to be able to delete them.
All right, so for this example, I'm going to run along an existing stretch of highway just because we have the GIS data there, so it'll be able to follow the road correctly. In the future, maybe you've had a GIS update and there's a new road, running out this way. But just for the sake of this example, I'm going to have it just run along this existing highway. But the principle's the same as if it was a new road.
So pretend that you don't see that green line there. It's a blank, fresh piece of concrete.
Exactly. So I'm going to right click twice to add my start and my endpoint. And you see here it's following the road nicely. Click add. And we're going to go to select the data layer, road conditions. The data type, as always, is issues. And under issue type here, you're going to select if it's a winter road or an all-season road. Just for the sake of visual variety, let's say this is a winter road. And it's brand new. It's still under construction, so it's going to be closed for the moment. So we'll say it comes in closed. So we hit continue. And down here, we have our location. It's already been pre-filled, but all these location, the segments, they all don't use the default location name. They all have custom segments that indicate, they run from intersection X to access road Y. So let's just call this, Highway 20, where in the distant future, there's highways crisscrossing Northwest Territories. So to follow the format of all the other segments, we first start off with the name of the highway and then a colon, and we say it's running from one point to another, which could be a city or an airport or an intersection. A lot of them are intersections. Let's say an intersection of highway 2 and 20 all the way out to the new access road. So now we have our segment, our location name. That's going to be, you can think of that as like the name of the segment itself. And you're also going to need to set up the French name that'll be shown to French users, French public users. So we click the Francais option. Here you can see it's already generated. It's the same as the English auto generation, but in French. In this case, we would have the French translation already prepared. It'd probably be like Nouveau Access Road, something like that. But you would have these would be pre-decided. You wouldn't be coming up with it at the fly at the moment. But either way, now that I've got these both set up the way I want them, I would go down and click Save here. And now we have closed winter road, Highway 20, intersection 2 and 20 to the new access road. Down here, we could leave I think we'll leave priority blank for the road condition segments in general. All this stuff doesn't need to be updated. And if you wanted to send a notification that there's a new road condition segment, you could do so. I think in most cases it would be just appear for new users, and it would just be added to the system quietly. Click submit, and now we have our new road condition segment running right along this spot. We have the type is set up correctly. We have our description name is correct, and everything is set up, and it'll percolate over to the public site as well very quickly. And you've now created your new road condition segment. And the really nice thing is that only an admin can add these, only an admin can remove them. The operators are only able to edit their status. So they could change it from open to closed or from all season to winter, but they couldn't delete it, which is nice to prevent kind of any kind of accident from affecting these segments.
Speaking of deleting, in this case, I just got a call from our highway planning department, and they've just told us, yeah, they decided they don't like this piece of highway. They are going to rip up this 20 kilometers of asphalt. What do we do, Eric?
Well, in that case, you're just going to want to go ahead and remove the segment from the system. You can go down here. It's the usual choice between end and cancel, with end being that there was something that happened, there was something there, cancel being it was an accident. Let's say in this case, that this whole project has turned out to be an accident, so we're going to go ahead and cancel it. Cancel, confirm. And in a few moments, once the system refreshes, those red dots will disappear, and then all we'll have left is that underlying segment that was there in the first place. There we go, and it'll
All
be
right.
cleared out right now.
Sounds good. Um, so had some discussions with our trial user group, and they said, "Hey, you know what? For those winter roads, those dots and stuff, I don't really like the size of those dots. I want to make them. I want you to make them smaller." And so our user group test group says, "Yeah, we want these dots to be smaller or a different color. How do I go about doing that?"
So you can make any kind of these what you might call cosmetic changes by editing. And here we're going to get into some of the kind of the back end technical stuff here. What we call the entity subtypes. So down here, you're going to find the entity subtype option. Select it. And this is going to give you access to every entity type in the system. And as usual, you may see some icons here from other localities that you may not see. But we want to find that winter road entity, and we want to update it. So let's go ahead and type in here winter road, and that'll sort it down. You can even do type 5 road condition. There we go. So now we're just seeing the things in the road conditions data layer. And we want to make some cosmetic edits. So let's go ahead and open up closed winter road. Open that up. So here you could even change the name of it on it, although you'd also want to change the translation, which we'll discuss later. You can change the icon. So for advisories, really, this is where you would change the icon. There's a whole lot of options. So if you wanted to change your construction advisory, you could search construction, see what kind of options we have in the system already. But for these kinds of things where it's the road conditions, which are just a big long line, they have no icon. What you want is called sprite blank icon, which, as you'd expect, means there's no icon displayed. It's just a line. This option here, use location type settings. This is how you see the options for the line, basically. So you'll want to leave this on in almost all cases. So these are all your cosmetic options. So if I wanted to adjust the color of the closed winter road, I could use it here with this color picker. You can scroll around here. And you can also just type, if you're familiar with the hex codes, you can type them in here directly, and it'll automatically show that. So I think, there we go. That'll get all white, for instance. Probably not a great option to set it to all white, but as an example, you can type it, you can choose it, and click choose to save it. In this case, I don't really want to make any changes to these configurations. They've all been agreed upon. So I'll just click cancel. Here you can change the line opacity, which just means how see-through is it? How much of the underlying road or geography that it's crossing do you want to be able to see through the line? And in most cases, we have this set to 1 or 0.9, really very on the far end of the scale, so it stands out above the terrain. Here, you can adjust the thickness by any value from 1 to 10. These have all been set. I believe they're all 5s, yeah, which I think is a pretty good width given the size of the roads you're working with. But if you wanted to, you could go up to 10 or all the way down to 1. and that'll be reflected on the map. And lastly, you have some options for the line type. So you have solid, which is just a single contiguous line, dashed and dotted, which are, as you'd expect, made up of dashes and dots, or chevrons, which is another option that gets those V shapes running, kind of pointing like arrows from the start of the line to the end in a repeating pattern. But again, I'll just leave this as it is. Just wanted to show that you have these options available, and you just need to click update after making any changes, and it should show up very quickly once you made the change.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, and again, this is we call this the advanced administrative function. There's an ultra advanced video we're going to do later that is going to show you even more advanced things you can do with your entity types. This one is making some minor cosmetic changes, but later we're going to show you how to do more advanced things like setting up new subtypes and new entities and translations and things like that. Yeah. Let's go on to, if we're done there, let's go on to contacts. So let's talk about notifications for a second. So in the notifications, we have the ability for people to post to Twitter already, and they could also send things off to email groups, such as, oh, we want the entire communications team to know about something. But later on, you might be thinking about, deputy minister wants to be added to a group to be notified during some of these events, or you might want media to be notified, or whoever it is, supervisors. So let's talk about contact groups and how to add new contacts.
Exactly. So first thing to know is that everyone with a user account in the system is already a contact. Every account that we've added will show up in this great big long list of contacts. And as usual, you're going to see some contacts from other municipalities in here. You'll just see Northwest Territories folks. So a contact is basically just an entry in this big list with an email attached to it, and they are someone who can receive email notifications, but they don't necessarily have to be users with dedicated user accounts. You may have a minister who wants to receive certain email updates, but they don't want to be bothered with having a full account in the system. So in this case, you could just add them as a contact without creating a whole account for them. And the way you do that is you go to Contacts, Contact List, and then click New. And here you'll have all kinds of options. As usual, the red asterisk indicates ones that you have to add. So test contact, ministry, email, test@test.ca. And you can fill all this stuff out as needed. In most cases, I think probably just the name is all you're going to really worry about here. This should be pre-filled to your organization, but just double check that it's set to Northwest Territories. And under delivery methods, it'll just be email. In other clients, we have people who can receive, say, SMS updates, but for this project, email is your only option. And lastly, here is where you could add, as you're creating this new contact, you can add them to a group that already exists. And later on, I'm going to show you how to create new groups. But just for the sake of example, I could check communications, and now this new test contact, this minister that we've been discussing, they're going to be added to the communications contact group, which means whenever an operator says, hey, I'm going to send out a notification, and that notification is going to go to the comms group, everyone in the comms group will get that email, which includes this new contact that we're working on. And you can set aggregation time if you wish. Generally, you can leave it at immediately. But in cases where, say, someone's receiving automated notifications, you don't want to blast them with one email every time if it's happening really, really often. So you can use these aggregation options to have the emails kind of grouped up and sent in smaller bursts. But for most cases, you're only going to be sending emails manually. So immediately is fine for pretty much all contacts. And then you would click Create to add it to the system. In this case, I don't want to clog up the system with this tester, so I'll click Cancel. But this is really all you need to do to add a contact. And once you're done, you'll be able to send them notifications. So let's take a look at the other side of things, which are contact groups. Like I was saying, these are just groups of any number of contacts. So again, those can be user accounts or the contacts that you just added there. And to add them, it's really straightforward. They just consist of a name, an organization, and all the contacts. So you'll note that some of these names have an asterisk, or most, if not all of them, are going to have an asterisk. That means that they are a person who is a contact that has a user account in the system. But you may have, for instance, here, Yates, your dog, he's external. He doesn't have an account on the system. We couldn't trust him with that kind of power. So he's an external contact, just like our deputy minister we were talking about. We can add him. We can add a few other folks, and we would give this group a name. You could create a group for ministers, a group for media, however you want to set it up. There's no limit on the number of groups you can make or the number of folks in them. You would just add them, click create, and then you have a new contact group.
And I will say that if you are creating a new contact group, of course, your job as administrator is also to ensure that you're training your operators. When do you use that contact group? Don't just create it. If this is a new supervisors group or ministry of so-and-so group, make sure you're training your operators. Tell them, when do you use this particular group?
Exactly. And yeah, that's really all there is to contacts and contact groups. Just as a quick refresher, if you need to add a new external contact, you go contact list, new. And when you add them, you have the ability to check off what groups they belong to. And if you need to create a new group, that's just contacts, contact groups, and new. And it's really just that simple. And once you've created the group, it'll show up for your operators when they're choosing who to send notifications to. And like Yates was saying, you'll have to set up, whatever flow you want. Certain types of advisories need to be sent to certain contact groups. That's all internal policy. That's not something that the system will enforce.
So speaking of notifications, how would I go about doing some minor changes to our email notification template?
All right, so in that case, you're still going to go to contacts, notification list. What this is just shows you a list of all notifications that have been sent out by the system, whether that's tweets or emails. So it lets you kind of audit and review the things your system has been sending out. But let's take a look at the templates here. So here you're going to see all the templates that are available to you and to your operators. You can see you have the Twitter template, the French template, and then this one, Ing/French, that's the email template that we've been using that has sort of both languages in one template rather than it being split out by language. So here you have a lot of options, as you can see here. I'm just going to focus in on the email and show the Twitter one in a moment.
I will mention, just to clear up any confusion, this is where this is all set up, but you as an administrator can set up these notifications. There's a lot of things here that you're seeing that are not turned on for your system. They could be turned on, such as SMS, push notifications, and voice notifications, things like that. They're not turned on as modules. So I just wanted to clear up that confusion. Yeah.
So if we're talking about email, we're going to focus on that in here. Your main options here are the email subject format, and email body template. Those are kind of the key areas that you're going to want to use to make changes. So the first thing you're going to notice is that there's a lot of these, what we call placeholders between two curly brackets. And these placeholders are what gets replaced by the actual content from whatever notification you're sending. So, if you're sending something that contains a road closure that's changed it to closed, here, this would be replaced with the word closed. Type here is replaced by the type of the issue. So it might say construction if you're sending it from a construction advisory, or fire and smoke from a fire and smoke advisory. Created by company name, this will just be Northwest Territories. That's your quote unquote company name, is your organization name. The ID in the curly, that's the ID of the issue. So, an easy thing you may want to do is you may say, hey, we don't really care that much about the notification, the ID of the thing, the internal system ID. So you can just delete that. Nothing's going to break. This is all, anything that's not between curly brackets here is just plain text. So if you wanted the front, you could say, attention, and that will just show up as is. There's nothing going to try to replace that. It's just plain text there. And that's what will appear in the subject of the email. In the body of the email, this is the template that it's going to use, and it's going to fill in all that stuff with more placeholders. I'm not going to go into super close detail, but up here is CSS, and down here we use HTML. You'll need to have some familiarity with those if you want to add entirely new elements, or you can always reach out to Transnomus, and we're happy to help with that kind of thing. And you can really see it's, sorry?
Or I was going to say, or your 12-year-old cousin will be able to help you with this. This is
yes,
basic
exactly.
HTML programming.
Yeah. So you can add, plain text it'll show up as just regular text. But in most cases, you're going to be kind of maybe shuffling around these placeholders. Just make sure to keep them between the curly brackets. You may be adding a few clarification notes here and there. So you can add text in anywhere here that you want. Down here, this is the kind of the main part of the thing. Where it'll show the issue, it'll show its start time, its end time, its description. You can see here we have start time in plain text. It'll debut in plain text. Apologies for my French. And here is another one of those placeholders showing that it's going to be replaced with something from the actual issue data. And then here, this shows the map of where the issue is taking place. So this is all editable. Nothing's gonna catch on fire if you want to tweak it. But if you want to make those more substantive changes, you will need to be familiar with HTML, or have a 12-year-old nephew who is, or speak to us. We'll be happy to help on that. There's a few other minor options down here. This is if you're including comments in the email, which in most cases you're not going to. This is the format for how entities are shown in the email. Again, in most cases, you can leave this as is. This shows how the locations will be formatted, and this shows how the user who is sending the notification, how they will be formatted in the email. So you can make changes to anything you'd like here, and then click submit, and then those changes will be saved. And going forward, anyone using the DriveNWT Eng/French template their notifications will reflect those changes. Great. And just let's take a look at the Twitter one, maybe for a sort of a smaller scale example, a little easier to update. Here we have Twitter format, and this shows exactly what's going to be tweeted. It's the status. So in this case, this placeholder here, closed status or event types, that's going to be something like created or updated, showing like what you just did before sending the notification. Type is the type of the advisory or the issue. First location is the first point. So if you have a multi-point advisory, it's just going to show the first to save space because you only have so many characters. This placeholder here, this shows the English description. So those drop downs that are with the numbers to indicate, so you can match up the English and French. That's that description that's going to be inserted here. And then finally, it'll show the update time. So if you don't care about the update time, you could just delete this, get rid of it, click submit, and that will be removed. That won't show up in any future tweets that get sent out. You'll note that there's still like the email formatting in here. You can ignore all that because this template is only going to be used to send to Twitter. I think that's the key points on editing notifications. Was there anything else you wanted to see on that, Yates?
No, I think that works great. Thank you very much. So I think that kind of concludes our this is our advanced administrative video number 1. Again, we've already We covered adding new road condition segments, how to make basic cosmetic edits to some of these issue types. We've covered contacts, how to make new contacts, and contact groups. And finally, we've shown you how to adjust the notification templates. We do have more to show you, but we're going to save that for your ultra advanced administrative 2 video. So thank you very much to Eric.
Thank you.